Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Brick Roll. Alright, I got a couple little projects I want to work on today. None of them are really projects that can stand up as their own vlog. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine them together into one vlog. Let me show you what my plans are. So the first one I'm going to do, I'm choosing to do first because it's the only real outdoor project and I want to get it done as early as possible because it's going to be really hot out here today and I want to get it taken care of ahead of time. This is my garden. I've talked about it a few times. You saw me plant this. I got my tomatoes in the back, my okra over here, and my jalapeno plants over here. The jalapeno plants haven't been doing that well, and kind of my own experience and discussions I've had with people on the live stream kind of suggest that the problem is I'm overdoing it with the watering. I'm watering the whole garden every day, and this part of the garden really loves that. As you can see, it's doing very, very well, but this one doesn't like as much water, and so I got to figure out a way to isolate this garden from that garden. You see, you remember when I planted the sprinkler, or put the sprinklers in here, basically I'm just running a hose over to here, and then I have plumbing that goes into all these sprinkler heads here and also goes across over into that bed and goes out to all the sprinkler heads here. What I want to do is be able to isolate this bed from that bed so I can water that bed without watering this one. And fortunately, there's a very simple solution to that. I'm basically going to cut this pipe in half here. I am going to put this valve on it, and this will allow me to turn the water off to this bed over here. And so when I do want to water, I can turn it on. When I don't want to water, I'll turn it off. And maybe what we'll do is we'll only water in here maybe once a week, because I think the jalapenos are going to do better under less water conditions. They're kind of a plant that does better in drier conditions. So I think that's going to be my solution. And if I want to, like I said, I can just open up the valve. And if I want to have, you know, water loving plants on both sides, I can just keep the valve open all the time. But if I want to have a lot of water over here and not as much water over here, I can do that too. So let's get going with that. First thing I got to do is cut the pipe in half. Now the little valve I purchased to accomplish this task is actually 3.5 inches long this way, and the PVC inserts 1 inch into each side. So that means I got to cut a 2.5 or 1.5 inch gap here in the PVC. These ants aren't going to be very happy with that, but that's the way they go. The ants have been turning this into a little highway, but we'll get those out of the way. So first thing I'm going to do is cut about 1.5 inch gap in here to insert the valve. So I got my handy little jigsaw here. That's kind of the best tool for doing that. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 1.5 inches out of the middle of this. So I drew a couple little marks on here. That's where I'm going to make my cuts. Now next what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat each end of the pipe with some of my PVC cement. Now this isn't just a glue. What it actually does is it actually kind of melts the PVC a little bit, and that'll create a watertight bond that will actually make this section of the pipe even stronger than the PVC itself. In fact, the weak point will be the PVC, not the bond, the glued bond. So I'm gonna stick that one in there, and then we're gonna stick that one in there, and that is done. This stuff dries really, really fast. So within a couple of minutes, I'm going to actually be able to turn this on and verify that it's working well. Now it's interesting, the ants on the PVC don't quite know what to make of this right yet. So it's going to take them a little while to get used to that and actually be able to cross this gap and continue using their ant highway that they've been using. But they'll figure that out. And like I said, it's only been a minute or two since I sealed this thing up, and this thing's probably already watertight. So what I'm going to do, first thing I got to do, since when I cut it, there's little plastic shavings that ended up inside the pipe. If I don't flush those all out, what's going to end up happening is they're going to get clogged up in the heads here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just remove all of the heads on this end, and we're going to turn on the water briefly and just flush all the plastic shavings out of there. Then we can put the heads back on. We'll be good to go. All right, I've moved all the heads and filters, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn the water on for a minute. And at this point, we got just water flowing out of the individual heads all around here. And as we get further and further away, there's less water flow, but we have enough now that it's flushing everything out of the pipe, and that's what I want to do. So it only takes a minute to do that, so by the time I get back and shut the water off, the process should be complete. And now I just got to put all the filters and the heads back on, and we're good to go. You have to make sure they're all aimed the right way. I want these kind of at a 45-degree angle. These should all work pretty well because it should just be a matter of screwing them in until they're tight. Crank that one a little bit more. There's little arrows on there. I don't know if you can see them, but the arrows tell you the direction that the head is pointing. So on these, I want to kind of have the arrows pointed that way. And we'll go around, finish all those, and then we'll give it a little test. Now that I got all the heads back on and aimed, we're going to turn the water on again, and let's make sure everything works. And the sprinkler heads are definitely working here, but there's no sprinkler activity going on over here, which is what we want because I got the valve off. Gonna aim this head a little bit differently because it's not quite pointing the right way. But see, I got the valve closed, so that means there's no water getting over here. If I want to get water over here, turn the valve, and now these heads are coming on. So that works properly. This part of the project is done. So that pretty much completes this part of the project. I did notice while I was out there that the okra plant needs to be harvested a little bit. Basically, I'm having to go out there every day now and pull the okra off there because it's about 3 days from when it flowers until you have a fully ripe okra fruit or okra vegetable ready to be harvested. So I'm going out there every day because if you leave the okra on the plant too long, it gets rough and hard, and you don't want that. So I'm going to go out there, and I saw there was at least one piece of one vegetable that needed to be pulled off, and maybe more. So we'll take a look, and I'll show you what I got. Yeah, there was just one that was ready to go, but I've been getting like 1 or 2 every day. And my understanding with okra is when you harvest them when they're ripe, that the more you harvest them, the more they start growing. So since this is right at the beginning of the growing season for this, we're just kind of warming up. But as we go along, these plants should produce more and more every day. At some point, I'm going to get enough of this okra that I am going to try Jeff Kidd's fried okra recipe. I only got about 5 of them right now, so I want to get a little bit more, but they're coming pretty fast and furious, so it shouldn't be long. Now, if you watch the live stream, you know the 2 of my youngest viewers are named Charlotte and Logan. And Logan was fascinated with my video on the bats at Huntsville, Texas a few weeks ago, and she told her mom that she wanted one, and that she thought maybe Uncle Breck would get her one. Well, it turns out the day I read that posting on Facebook was the day that I went to the Longhorn Caverns, and in the gift shop afterwards they had some little rubber bats that were very similar to the ones that were coming out of the warehouse in Huntsville. And so I got one of them for each of the girls, and I'm going to make a trip to the post office and send them this package. It also contains a few other things that I think they'll enjoy. Alright, I got that taken care of. It was a little interesting. I always forget that because Charlotte and Logan don't live in the United States, I got to fill out a customs form in order to mail something to them. And it's always interesting when you send something interesting to somebody and you have to detail what it is on the packaging. Yeah, what's in here? Rubber bat? What? Yeah, that's the kind of expressions you get from people. But that's on their way. By the time this video comes out, Charlotte and Logan will already be enjoying their rubber bats. Enjoy them, girls. Alright, so this is the old dresser that we're going to repurpose as a storage of like photographs and stuff like that. Now, I've actually spent a little time since the last scene because the truth is this thing is in pretty poor shape. This drawer here wasn't even sitting in there properly. The guide itself that it rides on or slides on when you open and close it was missing. Now, fortunately, I had the piece. I knew it had broken off years ago, and you know, I just never really got around to fixing it. So I've worked on it a little bit. It's a little bit better, but this thing's still in relatively poor shape. Mostly, it's just visual things here. I have no doubt they could probably be turned back into something decent, but I'm halfway thinking at some point I may finish this, you know, refinish this and, you know, sand it down and put a different coating, at least on the top and on the sides. I'm not even ruling out maybe the possibility of not painting it a wood grain, but like painting it with like some acrylic, some interesting colors or something like that. But that's a project for the future. Right now, I want to get all the photo books that I have and photographs in there. And first thing I think I kind of got to do is sort everything, figure out how everything's going to be distributed. Because I got some of my own photographs, I got stuff from Dad, I got stuff from Mom, I got stuff from, you know, family back before both of them. So, like I said, I got to figure out some way to get it all separated so I can give everything its own drawer and have everything in its own place. And I guess that's going to start by figuring out how much of each category of things I have. So I'll get back to you in a few minutes on that. So right off the bat, I knew that I had enough photos that I had shot that was going to probably be one of the drawers. So these are the photos I've shot. They include trips to Hawaii that I made. Let's see what's in some of these here. My friends, and then some more of the trips to Hawaii. And from this one of my friends was in a band. A couple of my friends were in a band, and this was pictures I shot of the band, some of the parties I went to and stuff like that. So keeping that. Over here I've got like just more photos. A lot of this, when I was moving into my house in California, the first time I saw the house, it was just a concrete slab. I made the decision which one was going to be mine, and that day when we signed the paper, we went out to the plot, and I ended up seeing my house for the first time. And since I lived right down the hill from the house, I was able to actually see it up on the hill every night. I actually came up every night to check it out and see, you know, how it was done, how construction was going, and documented a lot of stuff. That came in actually really handy to know what was underneath the walls and stuff like that when I was doing construction. That saved me a lot of money a lot of times. And then of course more pictures of my friends and their band and stuff like that. So like I said, this is all the pictures I have. These are really old pictures from like the 80s when I took a trip to Madrid with a college band, and other really old pictures like that. So like I said, I knew one of the categories was going to be my pictures, and this is them, and they're going to go in one of the drawers by themselves. Now I guess the next grouping is going to be photographs of my dad's immediate family. So his parents, himself, and his brother, my uncle. So that's what this is. This is this one here, and I've shown you this in the past. My grandparents on my dad's side sang opera professionally, so this was a lot of their memorabilia from doing that, some of the flyers from some of the programs. So that's going to stay, obviously. That's going to be part of that. This one here, let's see what's in here. This seems to be family photos from vacations and stuff like that, or little things. I guess I got like a puppy right there, and probably something like, this is probably somebody's confirmation or something like that. So school photos, it looks like. So that's obviously part of that. And then this one seems to be a lot of photos of my dad and his brother growing up, and I've shown you some of those. And I think one of them is part 1 and the other one's part 2, because this seems to be pictures of them when they're older. And so that obviously goes in here. This is something here I haven't ever shown anyone. These are a couple of journals that my grandmother kept for many, many years. In fact, at some point I'm going to have to get some of this stuff deciphered, because I think in one of these she did a lot of her writing in shorthand. And I think it's this one. I gotta figure out even if I can even open that one. It looks like it's got a key. And I don't think I have a key. But one of these is in shorthand. And so at some point I'm gonna have to get somebody to translate that for me. And then this one here seems to be different members of the family. And like I said, I've shown you this before too, way back when. And a couple more here. More, looks like more family members. I think that's great grandparents there. So let's see, what do we got here? See, these pictures all came from my grandmother. And I remember one of the last times I visited her before she passed, she was showing me all these and saying, oh yeah, this is this person and that's that person. None of this stuff was marked. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to want all these pictures at some point, but I need to know who these people are. Because, you know, some of them, you know, if it's my grandmother, I'm going to recognize her. But, you know, some of these people, I have no idea who they are. And I said, you need to document who these are. Because you remember all these people, but I don't know any of them. And so she went through all these books and she documented those. And so that's a treasure trove. This is, like I said, my dad's side of the family. And basically his mom, his dad, him, and his brother. So that's obviously a good another section. So we're going to put that in a drawer. Alright, so I've done a little bit more sorting, and I think the next section here now is going to be my family, my immediate generation, my parents, people I knew. And so, you know, pictures of my dad, got some pictures from when I became an Eagle Scout, my grandparents on my mom's side, my grandparents on my dad's side, my sister and I when we were kids, you know, some portraits that my parents had, my niece and nephew, my dad and his career, family portraits. You know, look at that dork. You just know, looking at that face, he's going to grow up and start making goofy little videos on the internet, don't you? Ugh. Some pictures of me and my family, pictures of my sister when she was young, my uncle, more pictures of my sister and I, portrait of my sister and I. So, like I said, I'm going to pack a lot of this stuff up. This one's going to go, you know, I've also got these pictures, and these are just a bunch of pictures that I've collected over the years of different things, and so they're going to go all part of that. Alright, kind of getting this all put together is taking a little bit longer than some of the other sections because most of the stuff I have is in photo books of some sort. But I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like getting loose pictures or things that were in photo books that were later removed from the photo book because the photo book was gotten rid of, but they wanted the photos. So what it is, I went and got a 3-ring binder, and basically I'm putting different types of categories of photos together. So any pictures of my dad's parents is in one folder, any pictures of my mom's parents are another folder, my parents. This is kind of, like I said, my generation, and you know, people I knew and things that happened during my life. So these are pictures from kind of my specific part of the train. Now in here I also have my dad's yearbooks, his baby book, a big folder of miscellaneous photos. This includes stuff from trips that they took and things that they did and places they visited and all that kind of stuff. And then also down here I've got like my dad's high school diploma, something about his engineering diploma, and of course the all-important thing, the diploma he got when he trained our dog Jenny and she completed her obedience training course. So that's obviously a very, very important one. Alright, so that concludes this drawer. I also have like my high school graduation announcement, my 9th grade graduation announcement, and I put my high school and college diplomas in here also. I don't spend a whole bunch of time sitting and staring at them, so they might as well just be added to the Rowell family box. And now I just need to make sense of all of this, get this all sorted and packed away. Now, even as I'm taking a closer look at this, I'm realizing that over the years, a lot of these pictures have commingled together. And while most of these are of my mom's side of the family, some of these are still from my dad's side of the family. So I'm pulling those out, and we'll revisit those and get those in the appropriate drawer. But right now, that's my grandmother, that's my dad, so it's my uncle. So we'll have to get that straightened out. That's still got to be put together. But I want to start sorting this stuff all out here and figuring out what we have here. All right, so that completes the repurposing of this dresser. I just got little post-it labels on the front of each of the drawers now saying what's in it, and that'll remain that way at least until I decide whether I'm going to refinish this in some way. But right now I got my local family stuff on the top, my dad's family stuff on the next drawer, my mom's family stuff on the next drawer after that, and my drawer on the bottom here. So that is it. That is the conclusion to this. I'm going to probably have this live in the cat room under one of the shelves because there's not really any other place I want to put it. It's too kind of ugly looking right now to be out here, but I think that'll be a good place for it. And so next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it into that room. So I think that about wraps up today's video. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.